introduce per se. But yeah, I think we spoke about what we are looking at wealth per se, but then it is always better to hear from the horse's mouth, right? That's what we have heard always, all the time. We have enough and more, and frankly, between the three gentlemen, we have almost like 80, 85 years of wealth management experience. So technically, I am like a real novice. They were the one who were actually laughing on my answers. You don't even know this? What is DAF? Seriously? So that's how it was, right? But it is always better because I think wealth management and is the key buzzword these days in the BFSI industry. That's one which is growing by leaps and bounds. Anyone and everyone from outside India who wants to go and invest in any of these BFSI companies, they will first look at the wealth management companies who invest. Because clearly, हमारे मोदी साहब जो बोल रहे हैं कि the $5 trillion economy, $5 trillion economy अगर बनेगी तो by default people are gonna become more richer. And if they're gonna become more richer, then by default they would need those relationship managers to manage their wealth. And hence, on that note, let me introduce the panelists here. Before we get into the challenges and opportunities we face in the wealth management space and overall BFSI, I have Abhishek with me. Abhishek, again, has been with Axis for long. He's been with almost like 20-25 years of experience in banking and financial world. He's been managing the Priority channel, which we just spoke about, and we do a lot of work with him. Thank you so much, Abhishek, for coming in. Priyashish, I know him from, again, decades, has been a veteran, so to say, one obviously a fitness enthusiast. He runs marathon, and so is Manish sometimes. But yeah, so he's the one who has set up a lot of these channels across multinational banks, be it ABN AMRO, RBS, Citi, or DBS. And now with Northern Arc trying to set up full-fledged wealth, digital, and a new platform altogether. Thank you so much, Priyashish, for coming in. And now we have Manish. So some of you who were there last time would have already also seen Manish. Manish has been a flag bearer who has been promoting wealth. He has been with Kotak for almost like 20 years and has good 25 years of experience. He's the one who, as a business leader, he promotes learning, and most of you guys are L&D. I think we would look up to the leaders like Manish to promote learning and development, and hence he has taken a lot of these innovative steps to manage learning in Kotak Bank. And thank you so much, Manish, for coming in. So on that note, now whatever I ask, right, and please don't pull me, that seriously you're asking these small basic bachcho wale questions because you guys are veterans. And I would be nothing in front of you. But then, yeah, maybe Manish, I can start with you on the right hand side, frankly, because right हमेशा शुभ होता है, और सबसे extreme right हो गया. So while see, Kotak has been embracing technology for long, right now, and there's enough and more startups on wealth techs and everything are coming over. How do you ensure that these digital solutions really enhance your wealth management outcomes? And what is it for the Priority and along with the non-residents, because you also manage non-resident piece. How do they invest and how does this entire ecosystem work?
Yeah, thanks, Gaurav, and very happy to be here. Background and context to the way digital adoption has happened in the wealth management and the financial services. Thanks to the digital public infrastructure, largely aided by Aadhaar authentications for KYC. Yeah. And the UPI payments, the entire ecosystem on the financial services has changed. I mean, and this has happened all in the last 3-4 years, and typically after COVID, the pace at which digital adoption happened, it kind of exploded. I mean, look at the number of mutual fund portfolios. They have kind of increased from 3 crores to 12 crore. Demat account numbers are ever increasing. You're setting new records. And you're right, as the economy grows, there will be a kind of people getting rich wanting to invest. And that's where I think technology has really played its role, in the sense that today the wealth management, so-called wealth management, is not only confined to the mass affluent, or HNIs, UHNIs, where it makes a lot of sense for anybody to service those customers. But it's reached to the person who's investing a 500 rupee in a SIP today.
True.
Right? A daily wage earner who decides to put some amount on the SIP, and that's been made only possible through technology. So technology adoption remains to the core. Coming to Kotak, I think the key thing which we have in mind is that how do we use tech and digital to increase or enhance the customer experience in the affluent space, for example. I mean, come to think of it, today the average user is exposed to the best. They want the best. Today, if my UPI transaction is taking, let's say, 2 seconds, that's hell lot of a time. We are trying to see that how do we kind of increase the speed of the app so that banking transactions happen faster. Or come to think of it, how many clicks does it take for a customer to come on our platform and buy a...
You don't even need a click now. You just need your bio.
So that's the kind of expectation. So we are, of course, coming up to this expectation and constantly working on this. I'll give you an example. We recently come up with a platform where it's possible for a relationship manager to engage with the customer, or the other ways around. The customer can access the relationship manager anytime on a video, voice, or a chat. When I say anytime, let's say the app is open, but then there's a ping to the RM, and it's... The other thing is it's on a secured platform. I mean, today, I think I was very happy to see NIIT coming up with solutions on the cyber crime, etc., because the cyber frauds are on the rise. So this app is kind of really getting us the right results, because not only you are engaging with the customer on a real-time access you are giving in the hands of the customer, but also it's a secured platform. So we are initiating transactions through that. But just kind of taking a cue from the previous discussion, adoption is where the leaders have to really come and make it happen. I mean, why should an RM, my belief is that why should an RM in larger cities spend 3 hours, 4 hours in traffic and do those 2 meetings in a day, when technology has made it possible for us to do multiple meetings, on a platform like this. So yes, we are, Kotak are consistently making investments on the technology with a view to enhance the customer experience. Another unique thing which we have kind of really promoting is, tech teams are working on their own separate thing, and business teams are on this thing. So to bring the cohesiveness between the tech teams and the business teams, there's a new concept at the bank which is called 2 in a box.
Yeah.
So we believe that for the real benefits to be passed on to the customers, the business teams and the tech teams have to get aligned. And, otherwise, a lot of good initiatives will kind of drop on the floor because the adoption is not so high. So when you have the business team and the tech teams kind of in a box, and there is a kind of a good collaboration and ownership on the solutions, we believe the digital adoption will also go better.
True.
So yeah, that's
So that's a valid point. But then, Priyashish, coming to you, now I think, and to what Manish also said, frankly, digital adoption is a challenge, and these wealth tech, and you're setting up the entire wealth tech platform as well. Now, how do you ensure that you have this talent connected to that individual? While you would want to drive, you would want to do meetings online, but do you think that's how it is possible? And what are these certain things which you are trying to overcome those challenges which you would have seen in the banking days across?
See, I think the way to look at talent and technology is multidimensional, because you can look at it inside out and outside in. But it's always better to keep one lens constant. And if you keep that lens constant, then you are backward integrating front to back, to tail, your vision, mission, strategies, whether you call long-term goals, which are, really telescopic, or short-term, which is microscopic. So when we look at digital as a solution, we don't look at digital alone.
Yeah.
Because when you're looking at the customer and then the organization, or I look at it this way, maybe, then you're looking at digital along with data. You're looking at digital along with democratization, and you're looking at democratization along with diligence. Now I'll explain what I mean. Digital doesn't go alone, right? The propensity of, let's say, me using WhatsApp may be more than Manish's. what Narayanan just spoke of. I mean, people will consume more Instagram and Facebook
Yeah.
compared to the Kotak app. So it's varied, right? So we use what I call a combination of 4 so that I know when to nudge a customer, when to talk to a customer, and therefore I call it next best nudges and next best conversation. So I'm not doing it constantly, I'm not going hammer and tong, but I can predict with digital and data that I should be able to talk to Manish at 8 p.m. because he's consuming that kind of data at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And therefore, my nudge or my conversation is aimed at that point of time. So we've got this beautiful online system. I mean, today I run an online bonds platform.
Yeah.
By the way, bonds have been democratized in India. So we run this beautiful dashboard, and at any point of time, I can see what a customer is doing on the app, and I can nudge him. I can slow. When I say nudge, I mean it's a very slow push. It's not really pushing a product through. But I give him information, bytes, etc., which is important. Then comes the democratization, right? If you can bring products, like he said, and democratize them, smaller unit sachets, whether it is bonds, mutual funds, insurance, whether he wants structured deals. That's how we look at wealth. And the last is due diligence. Whatever you bring in, you should be able to put your skin in the game, right? You should be able to buy it yourself. So I think that's where our pedigree of credit underwriting, knowing the industries and the sectors that we work in is very important. So that's my concept.
And which is true, but then see, frankly, in fact, last week I was also going through the interview of Sashidhar Jagdishan, HDFC Bank, and he was saying that it's always been a push strategy that we would want the customers to come to us, to our app or to the website or to the branch, and then we will probably go and sell, or we will at best call them. Now, I think some of the banks have started, and I'm just taking a cue from the Instagrams and the Facebooks, that the customer is there. Customer is not in your app, customer is not in the website, customer is not in your branch. And post-COVID, to hardly any footfalls, right? So some of these banks have started making those strategies where you would want to move to those Instagrams, move to the Facebook. You'd do the transactions on the Facebook app versus doing the transaction on the bank app. So that is what the technology is moving in, and that's what a lot of these banks are probably getting into, that why do we want customer to come to our bank per se, or probably the website or the app that ways. But on that note, yes, it could be a little far away, but that's where it is, because you have to go where the customer is versus the customer coming to you. So on that note, Abhishek, what are those 2-3 things which you are looking forward from? Because Axis, again, is very, very progressive when it comes to technology. Right, you have your own setup of the fintech team. The School of Fintech? What do you say in Axis? So, what are those 2-3 things that you are probably talking about, and how are you developing talent per se to get accustomed to this new shift which we are seeing?
Yeah, so extremely valid point. If you see the customer demographic and how that's evolving, today 4% of the affluent market, of the overall population, that's growing at a very rapid rate, 15% odd. That consumer is always constantly bombarded with social media, like you rightly said, and he's starting to get far more aware about financial products, investment products, compared to a relationship manager who probably is starting his career. So for us to be able to accelerate, not only sales, but to also be able to give, customer insights, very deep insights into how they could invest better, how could they plan their financial products better. It requires a lot more insight into the customer itself. So just imagine about a 25, 29-year-old guy who's probably buying his first SIP as a relationship manager, or probably buying his first health insurance policy. For him to be able to guide a customer who's sitting in late 40s how to invest better becomes a big challenge. So what we've done is that using very advanced models in terms of data analytics, try and mine customer information and give insights of what the customer's behavior is, and try and give the relationship manager insights on how he could look at what are the quick early wins that he could get with this customer. Typically, most customers will try and psychologically run the same pattern because of habit. and whether if he's wanting to invest, he has a particular style of investing which he's built over 40 years. Very easy for an RM to understand that style if you have those insights available. So we're using a lot of data, one. Number two is that we made everything digitally enabled, right? So for him to be able to sell any product to the customer today, completely digital, right? So if you look at the customer journey, a few years back, it had started with, the bankers would only carry a tab to open an account, right? And that was the highest level of, technology that we could speak about. Post-COVID, like, my esteemed colleague rightly said, it changed the speed at which the customer also started adopting to technology. Now, keeping that in mind, the banks had to really accelerate and try and get every financial product available on the technology platform so that the relationship manager could not only understand the product faster, but also to be able to sell the product faster to every this thing. So, two key important takeaways from this entire thing is that for the relationship manager to be able to build early trust with the customer, a lot more information which he can digest very quickly and to accelerate his understanding of the customer is prime, right? So that helps to build early trust. To be able to digitally enable sales, right? That's the second part of it. So that he doesn't spend those 5 hours traveling and he can do much more number of calls on a daily basis.
So thanks, Abhishek. That's a valid point. But on that point itself, I'm going to ask you again that while you are feeding the RM the data points, the analytics engine which you are seeing, but at the same time, how are you ensuring that the data points are genuinely useful from a perspective that if I am a rookie RM, and I gave my example, and in front of all three of you, obviously I'm a rookie guy. But when you compare that, okay, I have got these data points, these are the products which are there because people would know the products. At the same time, how do I sell? What are those, maybe the training initiatives that you're in? What are you doing differently so that the entire ecosystem gets created versus just a piecemeal data coming here and take those analytics into future and then take that execution in place?
Yeah, very valid point. And I think that's from a relationship manager or any of the sales, people call them at different levels. But since most of us here on the panel handle mostly wealth customers or priority banking customers, which are typically affluent, it's very important to be, first of all, knowledgeable as a relationship manager, right? So to get him to be skilled, we break our entire learning journeys into initially first 1 week of information that the RM needs to have. Then we break it down into about 5 layers, basically. So what 30 days he needs to be prepared with, 90 days of journey. So it starts with largely with related to products, and then from bit size to bite size informations, so that it helps you, first of all, build conversations early with the customer and helps you to kind of build that trust factor that comes inside. That's the first level. Second level is the complexity of the product. So once the customer starts showing interest, then you need to go back with a lot more information to be able to sell to him or to be able to at least give him options to buy from, right? So that becomes the second layer. Third layer is more from the affluent, which is largely revolved around certifications and governance system, which financial products are governed through both, if you're talking about mutual funds, then through AMFI, whether it's insurance through IRDA. So those kind of regulations. So all of them need to comply with these. So the learning journey is divided into like a 5-6 layered approach where each stage gives this RM skill building level that helps eventually.
Thank you. That's a valid point. So on the same note, Priyashish, I'll come to you now. Now, you spoke about those innovative wealth products and innovative structure products and bonds, which you are talking about. Now, one is, again, skilling is a really, really important thing because these are innovative. These are not the standard BAU products which everybody was selling. And now you have come out those very high-end ones. How do you ensure that the skilling is to the T point, frankly? Because it is not easy, because it's not something which you can just directly go and get it in Google. Maybe the Jenny I can help later, but as of now, that's how the case is. So how do you ensure that something...
No, I think we work in 6 sectors, which is around impact, and we are adding the 7th, which is climate. Our 6 sectors are agri, affordable housing, MFI, MSME, we've got vehicle finance and consumer finance. Except for consumer finance, I think 5 of them are really impacting Bharat, which is, half our GDP, but 80%, 90%, 95% of our population. So when we look at training in general, I think training and skilling in general, I think we look at a journey from capability to competence. The reason I'm saying this is because we were earlier capacity to capability, because you're capacitized, but you may not be capable. So we look at the journey, and we've crossed that journey. And now I think our journey is from capability to competence. But on a framework, we are looking at a 4-dimensional framework that we work on. So we believe that anybody who's interacting with a client, for us, clients are institutions, our clients are banks, clients are wealth firms, clients are individual clients. So it's not just a wealth RM that I'm talking about. It's a capital market guy. He's an institutional sales guy. So when we look at this, we look at a 4-dimensional way, because we are not as large as these 2 gentlemen sitting on my left or right. So we look at social, we look at functional, because we are an entrepreneurial driven organization. We look at the entrepreneurial spirit, and therefore linked to that is future orientation. And that's where digital comes to play. So our skilling or our training or our talent development is not a lattice. It's actually cross-functional across these 4 boxes, and we tick box everything. Because like you said, like somebody pointed out, you didn't have empathy in your call, right? For us, that is the social skill.
Yeah.
You need the functional as well, because like you said, you need the 7 days of training, the rigor, the when you ruminate about it, it's like 7 long days. But you also need the entrepreneurial spirit. You need the hunger to learn more. How do you build that? Because that doesn't come easy. I mean, we've seen speakers talking about the fact that digital adoption was not easy. Now I'm talking about digital. I'm head of digital. I've managed digital banks. But believe you me, frankly, till 2014, I was writing checks.
Correct.
Honestly, I was not even accessing mobile banking.
Some of us still do write checks. by
Yeah,
the way.
but honestly. And so how do you get that going? So it's a spirit in itself. And I think the biggest obstacle to our, somebody spoke about it in the previous panel. I think the biggest obstacle is our mindset, right? And that's why I say there are either 2 categories of people. You are learners or non-learners. And it's your mindset which defines it, right? You have to be a growth mindset. So we are inculcating a culture of growth by focusing on capability to competency. Sorry, a long answer for you.
No. So very, very valid answer, frankly. See, Manish, now Kotak has been talking about it for long now, and from that customer service excellence, it has become customer service obsession, right? As in everything is related to customers. Now, how do you build a talent strategy around it? Because technically it's not easy. Like Priyashish was saying, it's a mindset. Now, not everybody has that mindset. People can go through those training. People can understand the products, the processes, how to pitch, what to pitch, and all of that. But that obsession is very, very different. Now, how Kotak tries to manage that as an overall point, because that's a next dimension, frankly.
Sure. So I think, Gaurav, talent management is of strategic importance now. I think there's no 2 ways about it. And when we talk about wealth management, call it the scarcity of the right talent. That's why you've seen a lot of churn in the relationship managers, because the reality is the skill set and your case study in the beginning showed that the customer can come from anywhere and it's not easy. So from that perspective, I think it's a complex stuff. And what we realized, and I'm sure you'll recall our discussions on this, that it's time that we kind of institutionalize the learning. So we were giving a lot of functional trainings. We were giving a lot of soft trainings to our relationship teams. We all will agree that the expectations of an affluent customer, because they have seen the world better than us, and that's why they are where they are. And to engage, or the expectation is simple. A supervisor or a leader will say, oh guys, you have to get to engage with those set of customers. It's not easy. I mean, that donor fund, even I was grasping, what is this donor fund? I was hoping it's not there in India, and it's a UK regulation. So coming to the point, I think the realization was that the learning needs to be institutionalized. It needs to be a continuous process. And with that in mind, we've kind of rolled out a 18-month learning program. In our initial discussions, it was even coming to be a little more than 18 months. So we thought it will become too much to digest. So it's a milestone-based program. And what Abhishek covered, largely covering the soft skills, the social skills, the functional skills, aided by certifications, etc. Because when you tell an RM, how is your typical meeting of a 35-40 minute which goes on with the customer, the reality is most of them who have been successful ones would say that we generally talk, we generally converse. The range of subjects could be diversified as anything from art to the IPL match to
the guitar fund.
yeah. So they had to be constantly helped in terms of building on the skill set, and that's where we have partnered with you, and we are very excited about this, and we think that there is kind of an excitement for the learners also to learn. I think ultimately the benefit would only pass on when it's not being pushed as a learning. I mean, it has to be a process which people enjoy. And I think that's the journey which we have embarked upon, and we are quite positive. And what we have done is, I mean, just kind of divert a bit. On the wealth space, there are three categories of customers. So call it mass affluent, and the HNIs and the UHNIs. So what we have also done in this learning methodology is that we have built a career progression of the relationship team, which makes them even kind of glued on more because there is a natural career progression which is of benefit to them. So yes, it's a bit complex, but I think institutionalizing the learning, continuous kind of a reinforcement through a program which is milestone based, with the help of the best of the external trainers and the internal functional trainers, is our intent on the wealth management to enhance the skill sets of a relationship.
Thank you so much. This is one thing which I can keep on and on, because wealth is something which really, really excites me. And I think there's so much happening in India right now that you can't just sum it up in a nutshell. But then any which ways, we have exactly 2 minutes. And if you guys, so if you have any questions, and I'm assuming this question is not to me.
No, this is for the three gentlemen sitting here.
Yeah.
So just one question. While you are moving towards the technology, I think being an L&D professional, I realize one thing which is called as relatability. So while you are in relatability, right? Whether I'm as
Relatability.
right? If I'm a participant and you are my trainer, are we relating to each other? I mean, can I understand that this guy is making sense considering my sense of situations which I'm in? If that connect happens, then the learning becomes faster. Otherwise, it becomes a functional mechanical training where like somebody is being asked to ask the question, are you married? And when he opens the door and the other person, pehle se bolta hai, I've got 2 kids. And the question is, are you married? So that's what. So relatability in the L&D space is very high. I really don't know at current juncture, while you will migrate, I'm sure you will take utmost care. But you also have to see whether the technology is able to relate with the person. Now that's point one. The second point is about the value system of the organizations. So if I'm joining an organization, my value could be money, the other could be relationship. But when you're joining in an organization, there are certain set of values which I have to demonstrate as an employee.
True.
So is it really coming out through the Gen AI created content or a technology content? How a technology content can create my set of values which could be different from the other organization? So how you're taking this kind of a things in mind, whether you're designing those L&D perspectives?
I'll answer. I'll try to answer. Let me just tell you. I mean, there's some context setting I must give you. In my way of looking at it, I think India is a huge. We know about India, but I think we're going through a socio-economic and political change, right? Just for the audience and everybody else, I was going through some numbers. 21% of the world's workforce will be in India. Now that's a huge number. And if you look at a statistic, 40% of the workforce is not really trained. Now the question is, do we do it digitally or do we do it face to face? If we look at banks in general, I'm talking about my previous, because now I'm in MBFC, but if we look at a bank in general, and let me tell you, the frontline role in the bank, an RM, doesn't want to join a bank. Gone are those days when, the banking was a hallowed career option. So it's more of a compulsion than a choice, right? So same is for training. Now, there is no right answer for saying that there will be a digital intervention versus a physical intervention. I think what I liked in this, the AI graph, the pyramid which was shown, was that probably it will help you to do or learn the mundane aspects of the job faster. But when it comes to, like you said, functional, or like I said, functional, social, or the future orientation, you would probably need human intervention. Future is untold. We can only future cast. But I guess both of us, I mean, the consuming industry and you as a learning and development professional or industry will develop. Because I was talking to Anand and I was saying, hey, look, if AI can do it, then you don't need your 120 trainers in Kotak. But he said, look, I believe differently, because I also think functional, some of these aspects of what to do, what not to do, can be AI taught today. But social, can you teach AI? I don't know. Can I teach how to talk to a person through a machine learning? I don't know. So future yet to be told. Manish, you want to...
Just one bit on your first part on the relatability. I think it's very important. And this time when I was talking about the fact that we've launched a new learning and development program, we ensured that we kind of engaged with the participants earlier, understood their expectations. And this is where we are also trying to change. Otherwise, normal classroom or online learning. So this has been kind of curated, and we are putting our best foot forward in terms of the learning mix being classroom, online, everything. So we've kind of tried a bit to make it very comprehensive, understood the expectations of the participants, got them into stuff like role plays, etc., so that the participation is higher. So you're right. At the end of the day, the learning and development initiative is actually dependent on the person who's receiving the information and how they're going to kind of use that information. One more thing is that in the wealth management space, there are various personas of the customer. So it's not like you say this is one size fits all. The persona could be a salaried 45-year-old, salaried who's closing to retirement, or salaried who's a fresher. Okay, and now you know that India is a change country. I mean, you have young people in their early 30s who are making reasonable amount of money. Similarly, then there are self-employed, there are professionals, etc. So what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, the endeavor is that you can't really make somebody an expert to kind of build on the relationship skills at the end of the day. But what you can really make an effort is in terms of kind of enhancing multiple kind of learning so that their ability to engage with various personas of the customer becomes better. So to that extent, I think giving them exposure of various subjects, etc., so that their ability to engage and relate with those customers when they are meeting them, it becomes important. So I think that's something which we are trying to kind of address by giving them various exposure around this.
I think one of the key points that you brought out was related before technology. So when we look at a relationship manager, I think we look at it in terms of his own success. So when we say that that's the starting point, how do we make you successful in your job? The interest automatically comes inside, right? So every bit of the learning that is provided in the entire, his own learning journey is to make him succeed in first his KRAs. Number two is able to get incentives and make more money, right? So we make it more relatable for him, right? So his interest automatically starts going up. Yeah. And then we break it down. So it's a very long journey. I mean, there are close to about, 27, 30 products that a relationship manager, needs to sell to a customer. And this could be not only wealth, but also, small basic, loan products as well, right? So to understand that entire gamut of financial services, it's very difficult for a, young graduate to start absorbing. So there are multiple layers of this thing. So there is a guy who starts it from a savings account opening, then goes on to starts progressing into small, simple products like an SIP, opening a demat account, and things like that. And then, as he moves into the affluent segment, then he starts his own understanding about the product starts becoming, more relatable, right? And he's able to understand not only the consumer, who's actually the beneficiary of these products, and then he's able to position these products much easier. And then there is a progression journey for himself within the affluent segment. So, he starts at a mass affluent, and then he starts going into a wealth and, super HNI, those kind of segment. So we make sure that it's, talent before technology at all points of time.
The barcode that's there on your tables. And of course, whenever we get a break, please make sure to bring your laptops in for hands-on practice. Interesting proud fact,